Look at this. This is a before and after of someone applying this type of light to their midsection. And as you can see, it quite literally melts fat off. I'm serious. I didn't believe this either, but I just kept reading through the studies, and study after study after study just kept proving me wrong. Take this one, red and near infrared light. Again, literally melted the fat off of the waistline. And it also improves insulin sensitivity. Combining near infrared light with exercise resulted in more fat loss, more muscle gained, better improvements in insulin sensitivity, and reduced inflammatory markers. Again, this is literally just a light. Now, everyone has seen a red light or been in red light, been under red light, and it didn't grant you these insane benefits that I'm talking about. And that's because there's one key factor that you need in order to harness the potential of red light. And I'm going to get to that in this video. And look, I know this sounds like a gimmick or like a scam or some kind of magic fairy dust nonsense, but I promise you, not only does this work, but this is literally one of the most well-researched interventions in all of modern medicine. Other studies have shown that this type of light directly boosts your metabolism. Shining this type of light on your thyroid gland, which is right here, controls your metabolism. It's shockingly therapeutic. In fact, people who have autoimmune thyroid conditions like Hashimoto's, you can literally apply this light to their thyroid and their antibodies come down, their inflammation comes down, and they need to even take less medication for their condition. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever seen this news article, but even though it's hilarious and it sounds like clickbait, it actually is based in real science. This type of light really does have a substantial benefit on your reproductive and sexual health. Multiple studies on this: increased fertility, lowered inflammation, lowered oxidative stress in these tissues, better sperm motility, higher levels of testosterone output, and recent scientific research reviews have concluded that shining red light on the scalp is literally just as effective as those hair loss drugs that you're constantly seeing advertisements for, like Hims. Except the difference is that you don't get all of those horrible side effects that you would get from that. But how? How is this possible? How does this work? Well, if you take your phone, you take your flashlight, and you put it up to your skin, to your finger, you'll notice that the only light that gets through, despite the flashlight being a white light, the only light that comes through is red. And I would do it for you here, but I'm using my phone to record this. But the point is that this type of light is actually able to penetrate through your tissues, unlike the other types of light that are comprised in the white flashlight. This is because red light has a longer wavelength. So, not to get too technical or physicsy here, but light is basically a wave. It's also technically a particle, but for all intents and purposes, it's a wave. And the different colors of light and different types of light, like you might have heard of ultraviolet light from the sun, or gamma or X-rays, the difference between these different types of light or types of radiation is the length of these waves, the wavelength. Red light is unique for all of the colors in that it has a longer wavelength. And the longer the wavelength, the easier it is for those waves to penetrate through your tissues. So this gives red light some crazy benefits because it's not just a superficial thing. It gets into your body. And then you talk about near infrared or infrared light, which are non-visible types of electromagnetic radiation, but they're even a little bit longer than red light, and they have a lot of overlapping benefits. And the number one key thing that this type of light does is that it gets absorbed by proteins in your mitochondria. Your mitochondria, as you probably know at this point, is the powerhouse of your cells, right? It produces energy from food. And when the proteins in your mitochondria absorb this type of light, they become more active. They're able to push out more energy. And not only this, the fact that they're able to push out more energy means that they spit off less toxic byproducts as a result. These byproducts are known as free radicals or reactive oxygen species, and these can cause damage to your tissues. They cause inflammation. So red light, by acting on these proteins in the cell, in the mitochondria, is able to increase the amount of energy and lower the amount of these toxins that your mitochondria put out. And this is so important. An easy way to sort of think about this is if you think about something like cyanide. Cyanide's a poison because it attaches to one of these proteins in your mitochondria and it stops the ability for your mitochondria to generate energy. and you die. Red light does the exact opposite. Instead of binding and inhibiting those proteins, it actually activates them, and it can even knock off inhibitors like carbon monoxide, which is another poison for your mitochondria, which is why if you breathe in carbon monoxide, you die. Nitric oxide is another one. But red light has the power to actually knock off these inhibitors and restore energy production in your cells. And the benefits of this are so broad ranging that it's almost hard to describe because it works on such a fundamental mechanism. It's restoring the primary thing that makes you alive and functioning well, which is your energy in your mitochondria. And because it does that, it lowers your inflammation, it lowers the tissue damage, and that leads to all of these incredible benefits because all diseases, all health problems are downstream of impaired mitochondrial metabolism, increased inflammation, and increased oxidative stress. And red light is powerfully therapeutic against all of these processes. And if you are dealing with any sort of health problem and want to get to that fundamental root cause, that metabolism, I highly encourage you to book a free call with us at Prism. We have an in-depth coaching program. We do reports, we do lab testing, we do diet coaching, we do supplement coaching, anything you could possibly want in order to optimize your metabolism and health. We do. We've helped over 400 clients. We have a ton of success. So be sure to check that out if you want any one-on-one, in-depth support, personalized help with any of your health goals. But let's keep going. Let's keep going into some of the insane benefits of red light. One study showed that near infrared light, which is closely related to red light, improved vision in 95% of people with macular degeneration, which is the leading cause of age-related visual problems. Another study showed that red and near-infrared light improved vision by 5 letters. So if you ever go to the doctor and you have those like letter visual tests, it improves them by 5 letters. So it can have a huge benefit for your vision and your eyesight. Red and near infrared lights also have a ton of protective effects in the brain. It helps clear out the plaques that drive Alzheimer's disease. It's even been shown to be therapeutic in certain trials for Alzheimer's, for stroke recovery. It stimulates the drainage of the glymphatic system, and this is a system that basically drains out waste from your brain so that your body can clear it out. This type of light stimulates that process. The powerful anti-inflammatory reduces the main markers of inflammation in your brain, and inflammation in the brain is one of the key causes behind depression, anxiety, essentially any mental or cognitive dysfunction or illness that there is caused by excess inflammation in the brain. Even things like brain fog, fatigue, things like this are ultimately a lot of times caused by excess inflammation in the brain, and red light can calm that. In fact, we have studies showing that red light administered over a couple weeks literally improves the symptoms of depression. It's also highly regenerative for the brain, so it improves things like CTE. People have improved memory, improved executive function, improved cognitive function overall after incorporating this. Probably the most well-known function of red and near-infrared light is to reduce pain, and that's because of the anti-inflammatory effects that it has. This actually is able to extend into the gut, and there was even a case report showing that it can reduce symptoms like constipation, bloating, etc., and it does so by altering the bacterial composition in your gut. Other studies have shown that red light is even beneficial for the liver. It mitigates liver damage. Shining red light on people can actually acutely improve your insulin resistance. Related to that, it's also very protective for the heart. They did studies in rabbits showing that if you shine incandescent lights on them, incandescent lights are higher in red light than other types of lights, that if you shine incandescent lights on these rabbits, then they actually deposit less cholesterol in their arteries. It's very helpful for athletes as well. It can help improve recovery. It can stimulate muscle growth. Some studies have shown that it actually increases strength, and it can reduce the muscle fatigue that you get. But what exactly is the key to making this work? Because I said at the beginning, and you could probably sense intuitively, that you can't just use any red light to do this. And the key here is the wavelength, like I was talking about before. Essentially, light is a spectrum. Different colors are defined by different wavelengths, but it's not just one wavelength. So each color actually has a range of different wavelengths that it falls into. For red light, it's anywhere from around 600 to around 700 nanometers. And the thing is, only certain wavelengths in this spectrum actually have the biological impacts. The proteins in your mitochondria only absorb certain wavelengths of light, and more specifically certain wavelengths of red light. So you're really looking at around 630 nanometers, in that range, 620 sometimes. Sometimes you'll see 660 or 670. Those seem to be the key wavelengths. And then near infrared and infrared lights, which are closely related to red light. For near infrared, you're looking at anywhere from 810 to 850 nanometers. And then for infrared light, you're looking at 1,000 up to 1,500 nanometers. So I guess technically if you were just go out and literally just buy like a red light bulb, that would emit some of the correct wavelengths, but the main things that you're going to be lacking for a therapeutic effect are power output and concentrated amounts of the correct wavelengths. And this is why companies manufacture red lights, or red and infrared or red and near infrared lights, combinations of them. They make these lights so that they can have the correct properties, the correct power output, and the correct wavelengths in order to have a therapeutic effect. We have a couple different red lights that we like to use. One here is from Life Giving Store. This one's a handheld. It has a number of different wavelengths. You could check those products out. This one's a handheld, so it's very easy if you are interested in stimulating hair growth, or using it for a cognitive benefit. It's very easy to put it right up to your head. Also a fan of EMR Tech. They have much bigger panels, so if you're trying to go for like a full body effect, or you're trying to aim it on your midsection or wherever the case may be, this is probably going to give you a much bigger area. And both of these products work very well. Of course, the reason that our biology is adapted to being able to do this is because of sunlight. Sunlight has a ton of different wavelengths, going from ultraviolet all the way up to infrared and even some past that. But the problem is that most of the artificial indoor lighting that we have is pretty much completely devoid of red light and of near infrared light and infrared light. So of course, being out in the sun is going to be the most biologically compatible, ancestral, I guess if you will, way of getting in more infrared, near infrared light. And this is why back in the early 20th century, a lot of times medical professionals would just tell people to go outside in the sun for different medical reasons, whether it was reducing obesity, or a number of different issues. So getting sunlight should be your priority. Obviously don't burn, but the sun is the free and natural way to get plenty of these. Now, in terms of a more targeted therapeutic approach, obviously I think if you want to have something that's much more powerful and much more targeted, then you should probably go with one of the light devices. But the good thing is that because they're so powerful, you don't really have to use them that much. Most of these studies are just using the light for maybe 5-10 minutes a day, and it's not even being every day. It's like 3 times a week typically. And the specific protocol varies within studies, but the fact that it always seems to work tells you that the margin for error is really pretty wide. Like, you don't need to know exactly how many minutes to put the light on. You just need to understand that you need to get a little bit of it, you need to do it decently often, and you need to also not bathe in it constantly, because if you do that, then you get to diminishing returns and potentially having some harm. So when it comes to red light, less seems to be more. And then obviously you need to be getting enough power output and the correct wavelengths. So like I said, there's a ton of other benefits that red light has. So if you're interested in learning more about this, or you want me to dive deeper into any of these benefits, definitely let me know in the comment section below. I'm happy to make more content related to red light. I've already done a ton of reading on it. It's a very fascinating topic. So let me know down below. And that's going to do it for this video pretty much. So, but with all that being said, that's going to do it for this video. So drop a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.